Hey, how's it going? This video is on graphing linear equations in two variables. So we're graphing lines. The first thing we're going to talk about is the slope-intercept form. The slope-intercept form of a line is y equals mx plus b. M is a real number representing the slope, and b is a real number representing the y-intercept. This form is often used to graph the equation. So m stands for the slope. It tells you if it's increasing or decreasing. If it's a positive slope, like 2/3, it's increasing from left to right. It's going up from left to right. If it's negative, like -1/2, it's decreasing from left to right. It's going down. The letter B tells you where it crosses the y-axis. So the one on the left, where does it cross the y-axis? It crosses at 2. So the one on the left, the value of B is 2. How about the one on the right? Where does it cross the y-axis? Right, at 1. So the value of B on the graph on the right is 1. All right, so we need to memorize this formula, y equals mx plus b. M stands for the slope, and b stands for the y-intercept. Hey, how's it going? So we're going to graph this equation, y equals 2x minus 3, and we're just going to choose values for x. We're going to make a table to list the ordered pairs. We're going to choose 3 values. We could choose any numbers we want. There's an infinite number of points we could choose. It won't matter. But we're going to just try to make a nice, easy graph. We don't want to pick 57 or -98, right? So we're just going to pick 0, 1, and 2. That'll make our calculations easy, and it'll make it easier for us to graph the line. All right, so we start with 0. So yes, so you're asking, do I always pick 0, 1, and 2? Yes, usually we do, like 0, 1, and 2, maybe a -1 if you want. Unless there's a fraction in front of the x. That'll be in a later example. So as long as it's just a number times x, where that number in front of x is a natural number, then we go ahead and let x be 0, 1, and 2. So let's start with 0. Replace x with 0, and then work it out. So 2 times 0, that's 0. And then 0 minus 3, that's just going to be -3. So that's our y value that corresponds to x equals 0. Just need to do that 2 more times now. Now we're going to replace x with 1. So 2 times 1 minus 3. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 3, -1. So that's the y value that corresponds to x equals 1. One more number, we're going to choose 2. 2 times 2, minus 3. Remember, you could always pause the video, work it out on your own, and then come back to us when you're ready. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. All right, that's the corresponding y value for x equals 2. Now we could plot those points on the graph. So when we plot, we always start at the origin, which is right in the middle. The first number tells us where to go, left or right. And the second number tells you up or down. So the first point is 0, -3, so that means we're not going to go anywhere left or right, but we're going to go down 3 units. The second coordinate is 1, -1, so that means we're going to go over 1 to the right and then down 1, and then you put a point there. The third point says go over 2, 2 to the right, and then up 1. So those should be your points. Again, the first one is 0, negative 3. So the first point that's on the y-axis says we don't go anywhere left or right, we go down 3. The second point says we go to the right 1 and then down 1. And then the third point is we go 2 to the right and then up 1. Also recall that the negative 3 tells us that it's the y-intercept. It tells us where it crosses the y-axis. So that looks good. Now you can just connect the dots and extend the line in both directions. Okay, here's our next graph. Y equals 2/3 x minus 1. And again, we're still going to choose values for x. So when the number in front of x, which is the slope, that's our m, when it's a fraction, we're going to pick multiples of that denominator, and that'll usually make the calculations easier. So since it's a 3, we're going to pick 0, that number itself, 3, and then double it, 6. So 0, 3, and 6. If it was a 5, then we would pick 0, 5, and double it, 10. What if it was a 7? Right, 0, 7, 14. So doing so will usually give us nice results. Okay, all right, let's do it. So we're going to pick 0, replace the x with 0, and work it out. 2/3 times 0 is 0, and then 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Now replace x with 3. 2/3 times 3 minus 1. 2/3 times 3 is 2. The 3's cancel. And then you got 2 minus 1, which is 1. All right, one more. 6. 2/3 times 6. You can reduce it. You could divide 3 into 6, which goes twice. And then 2 times 2 is 4. Or you can multiply straight across. 2 times 6 is 12. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 4 minus 1, 3. And now plot your points. So there's our 3 points. The first one on the furthest to the left is 0, negative 1. So that means you stay at the origin and then just drop 1 unit down. The next one is you go over 3 to the right and then up 1. And the furthest to the right is you go over 6 from the origin and then go up 3. They look like they all line up, right? Yeah. So now just connect the dots, draw a line through it, and you're all done. Okay, now we're going to talk about graphing lines using the y-intercept and the slope. First, the equation has to be in the form y equals mx plus b. We're going to use b to plot the y-intercept. That's the point where the line crosses the y-axis. It can be written as 0, b. So that's our starting point. We're going to find b. We're going to go to the y-axis, and we're going to put a point on the value of b. That's our starting point. Then we're going to use the slope to find 2 other points from the y-intercept. The numerator of the slope gives the number of units to go up or down. The denominator of the slope gives the number of units to go left or right. Numerator is the top number, denominator is the bottom number. So let's look at this slope, 2 over 5. So we always start from the y-intercept. The top number is positive, so that means we're going to go up 2, and the bottom number is also positive, and then right 5. So if it's positive, that means up, negative, down. For the bottom number, if it's positive to the right, negative to the left. All right, so top is up or down, bottom is left or right. Positive is up, negative is down. Positive is right, negative is left. So 2/5 up 2, right 5. Now, positive 2 over positive 5 is also the same as negative 2 over negative 5. So that means down 2, left 5. Okay, let's take a negative slope. Negative 3/7. Well, if we have a negative, what we do is we choose one of the numbers to take the negative, not both of them, because if you have two negatives, that turns into a positive. So in the first case, I use the negative with the top number. So it's a negative 3 and a positive 7. So negative 3, again, the top number is up or down. Since it's negative, that means down. Down 3, but the 7 is still positive, right 7. Now, we could also choose to have the negative with the bottom number and not the top number. So now it's a positive 3 and a negative 7. So positive 3 means up 3, negative 7 means left 7. So once we get those points, we have our y-intercept, and then we get 2 more points, then we could draw the line through the points. So no calculations like last time, we're really just counting. All right, let's give it a shot. Y equals 2/5 x minus 1, and we're going to graph this using the slope and the y-intercept. So first, we're going to plot the y-intercept. So the value of b is negative 1. So that means that the y-intercept is 0, negative 1. So plot that on the y-axis, go to negative 1 on the y-axis, and plot that point. I put a blue point here on our graph, 0, negative 1. Okay, now we're going to use the slope to find 2 other points. The slope is 2/5. That means from the y-intercept, we're going to go up 2 and then right 5. Up 2, right 5. So up 2, right 5. So go up 2. I put a little dashed red line to show the pattern. Up 2, right 5. There's 2 points. That's good enough right there. Now we could draw a line through that. But we could also consider the other side. This is kind of optional. You don't have to do this. It's the same thing as negative 2 over negative 5. That means we're going to go down 2, left 5. So go down 2, left 5. Down 2, left 5. And there's another point. Now we could draw our line through those points. And we're all done. All right, here's our next equation. We're going to graph 2x plus 5y equals 10 using the slope and y-intercept. Now you might need some practice on this. This one, it's not in slope-intercept form. So that means you have to write the equation in slope-intercept form. So we're going to go through it, but again, you might need to get some more practice. You could always find another video on writing equations in slope-intercept form for more practice. All right, so we need to get y by itself. So on the left side, we need to get the y by itself. That means we got to get rid of the 2x. So you're going to subtract 2x on both sides. So on the left side, the 2x's cancel. And on the right side, well, 10 minus 2x, we can't combine those because they're not like terms. We could write 10 minus 2x, but we're going to write negative 2x plus 10 because we want the x term to be first. Remember, we want y equals mx plus b. So that's why we wrote that 2x first. Negative 2x plus 10. And then on the left side, bring down the 5y. The 2x's cancel on the left. Now, the sign in front of the 5 is positive, so I don't need to write anything. But if it was a minus 5y, I would have to write down negative 5y. Now, our next step to get y by itself is to divide everything by 5. So all three of them, you have to divide by 5. On the left, the 5's cancel. On the right, we simplify it. So the negative, usually we put it right in the middle of the fraction, so that's negative 2/5 x, and then 10 divided by 5 is 2. So now we have our slope. Our slope is negative 2/5, and our b is 2. So we're going to plot the y-intercept. Since b is 2, that's the point 0, 2. So plot that point, 0, 2. There it is. Now the slope, we're going to use the slope to find two other points. It's a negative 2/5. So I'm going to choose to use the 2 as our negative and the 5 is positive. So that means down 2, right 5. Down 2, right 5. Or you could choose to use the negative with the bottom number, which would be up 2, left 5. So you can see the pattern. Down 2, right 5. Down 2, right 5. Or up 2, left 5. Okay, now we'll draw our line in, and we're all done. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about vertical and horizontal lines. So the graph of a linear equation with one of the variables missing is either a horizontal or a vertical line. So the graph of a vertical line, it's always the equation x equals a, or x equals a number. The graph of x equals a is a vertical line passing through the point a comma 0. And the graph of a horizontal line is always an equation y equals b. So horizontal is y equals a number, a vertical is x equals a number. And y equals b is a horizontal line passing through the point 0b. So let's see how this works. X equals negative 4. So all you're going to do is go to x equals negative 4 and then draw a vertical line. So you go to negative 4, but it's not a point. Just make sure you draw a line through that and you're all done. That's it. X equals negative 4. All right, last one. We're going to graph y equals 2. Y equals 2 is a horizontal line that intercepts the y-axis at y equals 2. So you put a point at 2, but it's really not a point, it's a line, it's a horizontal line. So just draw a horizontal line through that point, and you're all done. All right, so this was a little video on just graphing. Hope it works out well. I'll see you here for the next one. Have a good day.